Greetings, Ari from Paradigm Threat here. I'm at Hillcrest Abbey Cemetery in Savannah, and I'm doing a walk-around video series entry on what is the deal with the presidential assassination attempts. I'm going to try to give a rundown of the current situation that the world is in right now, this flashpoint that we're experiencing, and try to explain why it's happening as best I can. So we had two presidential assassination attempts on Trump this year, and they both look real, like real bullets, real people, real guns, and real failures. And the question now is, is there going to be a third? Can he be killed before becoming president? People are starting to notice that they're trying to kill a president who would change everything on this planet if he won, as Democrats have said themselves so many times. And so this isn't just your normal election. So, context: what's the deal with presidential assassinations in history, in American history? I'm only going to talk about America because that's our it's our pure litmus test. Everywhere else, it's real murky without understanding the complexities of the histories, blood feuds. But with America, it was this pure vision that was just completely hijacked. And every time the American people realized it had been hijacked to a degree that they would have to now be drafted and lose their sons and their property and everything, that is the time when, in American history, the presidents, people try to kill them. So we're talking about times of war, obviously. Civil War, World War I, World War II. All of those presidents had assassination attempts by ordinary citizens who felt like if they could kill the president, they could stop the deaths of hundreds of thousands of their brothers and sisters and their enemies. They didn't want anyone to die. Without getting into all of the assassination attempts, Kennedy's is the most interesting one to me because the difference with Kennedy was people were very, very confused as to why anyone would try to assassinate him to this day. And it's in that confusion that we lost the reason, the motivation behind it. With Kennedy, the truth is that he experienced an assassination attempt by an American prior to his official assassination, with a guy deciding to drive his car into the president's car with explosives to destroy him. And this whole plan was detected by the CIA, who doesn't, if they do their job, have no problem protecting the president and uncovering their various plots. Hey, Jesus. In this case, they were able to stop him right away. But they decided this was a warning. Americans are going to try to kill JFK. Why? Because he's getting us into Vietnam. He's going to get us killed again when we all thought that wars were over. World War II lingered on in Asia, sure, but we didn't have to get drafted. So, there was a little draft, but with the Vietnam draft, it was just so obvious that Kennedy was going to take us into war. Now, the draft didn't start under Kennedy, sure, but didn't mean that everyone wasn't well aware that he was laying the groundwork for a war. He was playing a trigger during his term. And so they tried to kill him to stop Vietnam War. They failed. And the CIA said, well, we only have one play here. We got to fake kill him. Go through this fake assassination attempt for Kennedy. And then we control the narrative. And we say, oh, it's Oswald because he was a communist or thought Kennedy was something or other. And of course, Oswald was killed and his assassin was killed. The whole thing was covered up. So it seems like the CIA has a way of getting rid of the guy, the perp, so that he never really talks. But with the Trump assassination attempts, it looks like in the first one they did their job and incinerated the body of the perp, who even Trump did not believe was a real shooter. In the second one, they caught the guy because apparently, from what I'm understanding, the local sheriff department did their job, and some lady is now being praised as a hero for detecting this guy who's basically hiding in wait. So with the Trump assassination attempts, the motivation is very different from Kennedy. This isn't to prevent a war, it's to cause one. If Trump gets killed, Ukraine continues to get all of our money, And everyone who's critical of Ukraine in this country continues to get censored and just their careers destroyed, such as the influence of those Ukrainians. I mean, to give you a little clue of the influence, they basically performed the Jan 6 insurrection on behalf of the Democrats to hijack our government in 2020. So they've been holding on to us, and this President Trump is about to screw everything up. So they're trying to kill him. But our CIA, our intelligence, our locals do not want to do that. So the best that we're doing is to just do a bad job. And that's enough for the would-be assassins to hide and wait for 12 hours or whatever, take their shot. And it is just one shot that would change the world here. So I'm predicting that he won't be assassinated because while there is a tremendous amount of luck here, people are slowly waking up. And everyone's been reacting the last few days to the fact that this happened twice. And that this time the evidence is just overwhelming, with the local sheriff's department in Florida using the word conspiracy, first time I've ever seen it on TV, saying that they don't have a choice but to use that word because somebody leaked his location information that day, and somebody told MSNBC or whoever it was to set up the cameras before the incident. These things are too obvious, right? But had he been killed, it would have gone a different direction, and they know it. So that was attempt two. They probably promised the Americans, those Ukrainians, that they wouldn't try again, and did try. That's their nature. And they're probably going to try a third time. But now it's going to be that much harder. Everyone's just going to be looking for this now. We weren't supposed to be looking at a golf course, and the CIA said there's no way that there's a threat. Now they know better, and the Secret Service too. They use them interchangeably because neither of them are doing their job right now. And both of them, each agency individually, could have prevented both of these attempts. So what's happening in the world? Well, obviously, Ukraine is doing terrible, and they still want our money and our weapons, but it's not enough. So they want to launch bigger missiles in deeper into Russia and start a bigger war, which America is really just saying, we don't want to. And so if they can get Kamala in there, then they can definitely continue attempting to inflate the Russian war into a world war. So at the exact same time, the Israel tensions are flaring up. I have a stake in it because my family lives there. My parents recently returned to northern Israel from Brazil, so they're going to have to live through whatever this next event is. And what's been happening recent days, a couple days ago, pagers went off, killed or wounded 2,800 people. I think that's the tally. Devastating psychological attack. Didn't really do much damage, but really is provoking Lebanon into some kind of reaction. Today we just heard that there's walkie-talkies that exploded in Lebanon. And now I'm seeing jets fly over. So everyone's reacting to this inflamed situation. So let me explain it because it's just as tedious as the Ukraine situation, where there is a very simple explanation, but it's hard to get to because of the biases that we're experiencing against Russia in that case. In this case, the biases within the Palestine conflict. So here's the deal. Bibi is going down as the new Hitler. He's just this worst, terrible guy in the world who's authorizing people who are much more evil than he is to do pretty bad things to the Palestinians on a regular basis. So bad that they're basically using artificial intelligence to pick targets because they don't want, and there's no individuals left to take responsibility for the actions, just like in Ender's Game, you know. And the war hasn't been going very well because it was never meant to. Bibi and his cohorts were not trying to win this war. They're trying to forestall something much worse. And we all know what it is because we've been hearing about it our whole lives, the destruction of Israel. And how is that possible? It seems like the farthest thing from possibility right now, but it's not. There was a plan. It was the Iran deal in 2000 under Obama, 2009 or 13, I think. Didn't go anywhere. Then they tried to do another deal recently with the Saudis to take over take over Gaza Strip and run it autonomously as the Israeli government pretty much cedes the territory away, and then that will never deal with Gaza. This plan. It's the worst plan in the world. Just like the Iran plan was a terrible idea. Why? Because both plans guaranteed world war. They guaranteed and stop world war. So let me explain that. The Iran plan was meant to create an impossible requirements for the Iranians. They have all this uranium and to not use it for weapons. But the Ayatollah is the Ayatollah, and they're completely hijacked themselves, their religion, and they hijacked the politics of Iran. They've been saber rattling for 30 years and 45 years, and they want that holy war. They're just ready for it, and they have proxied many regions to essentially fight this proxy war for them. And because Arabs are helping Arabs, that makes it a holy war. So the only way that Bibi and Trump, when he was president, saw to stop this inevitable, horrible plan from happening, where we would make a peace deal, everyone would be happy, and then the extremists start bombing the F out of everything because they're still extreme and they still want to reclaim their version of the Holy Land. They're still on their crusade, even if the Jews and Christians give it up. And as Jews and Christians don't know anything about the Crusades, they understand how this history can repeat on us, and it's being primed to repeat on us. So there are some people who saw this coming, and they are the kind of people who offered Trump a way out of his predicament. Like I said many times, he's born and raised to be the downfall president of the United States. He didn't like it. He had no choice. They would have made him president even if he was unwilling the whole time. They would have just puppet showed the whole thing. And raised to do this, he didn't want to. A lot of these celebrities in the deep state don't want to. And his case was kind of unique because he was possibly related to some important historical figures like Patton, that's my guess. And his version of World War II is different, the way this family raised them. And so they're only interested in real peace. They're not interested in exasperating these ancient blood feuds anymore. And somebody offered him a way out, turn the plan on itself, defeat Hillary, start MAGA. This is the plan. Now, there's no way to stop this plan, this counter plan. It's just as foolproof a plan as the original deep state plan for world domination, i.e., none of us could stop it at all or slow it down. More effort we put into it, the more it kindles and flames. The weirdest thing happened during the Trump administration. He shows up in Israel, holds Bibi's hand. He's like, "We're brothers." Takes over. He moves the embassy to Jerusalem. What a move! Very provocative, but not a drop of blood was drawn from that move, right? It wasn't a violent move, so people should look at the logic of it. At the time, Trump and Bibi were trying to prevent this holy war that was inevitably coming, and the only real way to do that is to constantly be in a state of war with the fake ideology that they have invented themselves, Islamic terrorism. No such thing really existed until the late 20th century. And by pretending it did, the good guys of this plan essentially got way ahead of the plan and said, we're going to use this whole terrorism narrative that the deep state themselves started in 9/11 to prevent the holy war, to prevent the war between Jews and Arabs by focusing everyone on terrorism. That's the deal. And for that reason, the people who want to inflame a holy war in the Middle East want Trump dead also, for that reason also. And as people are waking up to the reality of all this, that this isn't a joke, and if this does happen, if he does get killed, we will all suffer. And all of our little games of ideology will be over, Democratic Party will be over forever. They will never be forgiven. Trust me on that one. So, what I leave out, President was assassinated because he's forestalling two major world events that would have caused World War III to happen. And if World War III doesn't happen, and all the little other plans that we're seeing also under that umbrella do not happen. A lot of people are willing to put all their bets in for the big plan these days because they know throughout the last 3 or 4 centuries, everyone who made bets with the deep state won over and over. Even in times like World War II, when it seems like they're totally going to lose, they always have some kind of trick. Now we're going to attack our brothers, the Germans, who we just were helping, and declare them evil and then declare victory and then keep the war going. Propaganda, sinister. And like I said, foolproof. There's nothing any of us could do about it. So luckily, because Trump became this insurgent movement to the deep state's plan, their plan is ruined so perfectly and thwarted so deeply on such a abstract level that those people are still trying to stop Trump from stopping their plan have no idea what they're doing. They're desperate and they're trying to kill him. They're putting people in the place and they're going to sleep and they're waking up in the morning and hoping that he's dead. That's how these people are. But Tom York saw this coming a long time ago when he wrote Eraser. And in his Eraser song, I believe that's the album too, he says, "The more you erase me, the more I appear. The more I erase you, the more you appear." In other variations. He said it's over for the erasing, redaction, deep state tactic. Those things were possible in the 19th century, in the 20th, and now followed to lead us anymore without us becoming more and more prominent in the last one in the world that they want to do, if they even realize it, is to kill Trump. Thanks for listening to my rant. Hope to see you guys next time. Bye.